reflect on these experiences because we will be opening another school year in September 13, 2021, and hoping that we will be able to address these issues. In the school district of Concepcion, where we have 36 elementary schools and 4 secondary schools, 22 of these schools are from the islands. These island schools can be reached for roughly an estimate of 30 minutes for some of our schools, and others around 2 hours travel by boat. Since internet connection is not really good, and most of the schools here are technologically not ready, majority of our learners were in distance learning, specifically with the use of the printed modules. One of the struggles that we have experienced was on the reproduction of modules. Yes, the schools for most of the time were the ones responsible in the preparation and sorting of the self-learning modules for our learners. And we need to produce, no, in the context, for example, of Bacjawan Elementary School, where there are 369 learners. We need to produce 369 SLMs for the 8 learning areas in different levels, and roughly an estimate of 189,000 per quarter. And the school was only receiving an MOA in the amount of 106,000. So there was really a gap between the school's maintenance and operating expenses that the school is receiving and the amount that we need to spend for the modules. Of course, we still need to pay for our electricity, our water expenses, and other basic supplies. As a school head, I really have to take charge in the constant provision of the bond papers or ink, the printers, no? And sometimes I have to finance it myself, or even the teachers. Another extra challenge on the part of the teachers of island schools, where they need to travel, no? They need to transport the reams of the papers, no, by boat, and had to spend extra amount for the hauling. They also have limited source of electricity. Either they were using solar panel or the generator, as the case may be. And there were also some teachers who would stay in the mainland for days for the reproduction of the modules and have this transported during the distribution. In fact, we also had an incident that one of our teachers assigned in the farthest school in Concepcion, in Bacjawan Elementary School, where we need to travel for 2 hours to reach that school. And along with the distribution of the module, one afternoon, they're both capsized, no, in the middle of the travel. And fortunately, the teacher survived, no, but nothing left of the printing materials, and papers, including the printer that had been prepared, no, by the school. And there were at some point of the school year where surgical lockdown happened, where teachers who undergone quarantine because they were exposed to the virus, and a lot of adjustments had been done as to the reproduction and the distribution of modules. Much more that this took us weeks, no, 2 weeks to normalize again the operation. On my personal notes and observation, I'm sorry to say, but the grassroots level, although we were able to respond to the demands of today's educational landscape, our attentions were also on the accomplishments of the numerous reports that we need to submit. But on the end of the LGU, I also would like to highlight assistance given by our mayor, Honorable Raul Banyas, in Concepcion, for providing us photocopying machines, no, and printing materials. But I think in Concepcion, since it's one of the largest school districts in the division of Iloilo, there are 40 schools, no, both in elementary and secondary, and around 6,000 plus learners. That is why there was still some issues on the sustainability. It's no joke to continuously provide printed modules every week for our this big number of learners. Our barangays also donated hand washing facilities. Our SGCs donated also face masks, alcohol, and other disinfectants. And somehow this had helped us in a way that support the school-based management WINS program of our schools. Our assessment focus on the summative test. It's a written exam in every quarter. And another one is the performance task where the learners has to submit an output as an evidence of the application of the competencies that they have learned. And again, we have some issues to the reliability of the assessments we have given. Were the learners really the one answering the modules? Do they have the learning facilitators who would guide them all throughout? Were they honestly answering the summative test by themselves? Were the performance tasks or outputs submitted really were accomplished by the learners? These were the questions that I always emphasize to my teachers, and we keep on reminding our parents and learning facilitators to uphold honesty and integrity in taking these exams. But of course, we don't have the full command of the situation. And experiencing this in the past year, we do some adjustments and interventions in the context of our schools and our communities, and to at least address some of these issues in our own level. While the department is really working on the quality of education that we can give to our learners, and that the schools and stakeholders, specifically the teachers, as frontliners in realizing this goal, considering the challenges of the pandemic that they're facing today, there are a lot of things to ponder on implementation of the different learning delivery modalities, especially on distance learning and basic education. The pandemic has changed the educational landscape, especially on the instructional delivery. And in all our decisions as school education stakeholders, we always put the learners at the center so that as much as possible, no one is left behind. The quality and equity of education among our learners will be still on top of our priorities. I am Rogie Espulgar, a school leader still committed to continue my advocacy in giving quality education to our Filipino learners. And at the end of the day, I have to say to myself that during my time, I did it right. Para sa bata, para sa bayan.